All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of FBS International Airport. I'm B. Squegelhausen, and with me yet again today is FluxTrans.
Hello.
And Strict Toaster.
Also hello.
And we are coming hot off the heels of a really cool episode where we saw an entire terminal gone and detailed. And I'm following that up with another one that's pretty much exactly the same. Well, hopefully not. It's a little different. The scale, I went and he did like the Flux, you did like the regional sort of terminal last time, and I decided it's time to go for the big boys. And I decided to tackle the international terminal. So first things first, I go and I'm kind of adding some more access roads, because the way I had this set up is that this is kind of the newest terminal overall. It's based off of the SFO International Terminal, sort of in terms of like age. So I placed roads and things and then began to place giant A380s everywhere, which is this really crazy effect. And I'm like filling the airport with these airplanes to try and make sure that in this huge terminal, there's enough space for as many huge jets as we might want.
I mean, I sort of did the math when I laid out that terminal, so
yeah,
there should be space.
There's definitely space, but I'm just going through and trying to figure out like where are my gates going to be? Like try to dry, like I wish I could like click and drag like a Matchbox car almost, like drag all these things through. Because one thing I wanted, and I was looking at other airports, particularly LAX, especially for that the kind of the top of the T shape that we have. I took a lot of looking at I think it's like the Bradley International Terminal there. But there are only like 3 or 4 gates that are actually sized large enough to fit those A380s. And originally I'd planned every single one. So you saw I filled every single gate with these giant A380s and then realized like, actually, maybe we should change this. Like maybe only that end is where the super jumbos and the jumbo jets actually land, and the rest, because we have tons of smaller planes that go internationally too.
Yeah,
right.
We're not always on this giant double-decker behemoth. So I'm placing some 787s, some 777s, and thinking of trying this new thing called MARS, which is like the multiple aircraft ramp system. I'm trying to go. I'll talk more about it later because I realize I'm not actually doing that now.
All right.
But I'm looking around at prefabs because I was watching Flux's or hearing about all of Flux's struggles with trying to get the gates set up, and I'm still thinking like I'm vainly hoping like, please let prefabs work. Please let prefabs work. Like there's got to be a chance. But then he was right. They just you need that sort of flexibility. So yeah, I did happen to find these though. I didn't have to make my own customs.
Yeah.
But they end up, and here we go. So I find this one. I'm like, that's really cool. It's got the stop bars all set up. It's got everything I'd need. And I decided to scroll back through the menus real quick.
These are all Vasmir, right?
These are all Vasmir.
Of course,
it's crazy. They're all, yeah. So I'm hoping to find prefab stuff and looking around and seeing like what I could get, because in particular, my problem with the prefab stuff is it was all a little low, and I really wanted to be able to have these come out high, because the way that you see a lot of these international terminals is the bottom level is basically a series of hallways that go right to customs, because you don't want in traffic and out traffic to mix at all, because in traffic has to go through immigration and get passport stamps and everything like that. So I really wanted high up gates to make that kind of make sense and have that work and let you be able to access this. So I'm now going out into the field and of course building all these sample jetways.
Field.
So this is something I'm probably maybe even getting into a bad habit of just like filling empty grass with the construction of props.
It's actually a really good idea, because it actually saves you a long time from like navigating tons of menus. It's way more efficient.
No, it saves a ton of time, but it's messy. Because I leave it out, so it'll probably be there until like the final cinematics of the whole airport. We'll be like, oh no.
But we'll probably use them again, because I mean we're gonna have more international gates and stuff. So, or maybe we will. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. But pieces around here, so I'm going through and trying to assemble all of these individual pieces and set them all up and get everything just about perfect to see like what can I manage. I'm still hoping to use these prefabs. So I've got like the longer length one, and because it's really simple. If the whole body can be taken care of with prefabs, I'm like, you know what? 2 heights and 2 lengths, that'll be fine, right?
Except not.
Except not. And like not even close to being dual. Well, that one's close. This is actually
got a
really
light
nice.
on it too.
Yeah,
That's
it's got little blinking lights. It's got all sorts of neat stuff.
Actually, can I ask you something? Because at the time of this recording, I have not done a single one of these stands. So the way you do it is, and this is a question: Are you like putting down the jet bridge first, then aligning the plane to the jet bridge, and then adding all the lines and markings around that? Is that the process, the order?
That's how I tried to do it. So now we're cutting to me actually doing it. Okay. So this is when I had Google Maps and the other monitor and using the measure tool to figure out. So you can see these are 2 gates next to each other, and then I have 2 gates with the service road between. And I'm sizing them up. I'm checking out all these different types of airplanes. So we've got the jumbo jets and international jets and everything all brought together. So I'm measuring. I'm trying to figure out, because our flat ground isn't actually flat, it turns out.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and this is where I'm playing around with that Mars thing. So basically, in multiple aircraft ramp system or multiple apron ramp, it's weird. I don't know what it actually stands for, and I've seen it in multiple ways. But it lets 2 small planes park at a gate that 1 big plane would fit at if they're not using it, which I think is just this really cool thing. So anyway, I've cut a lot forward in time here because it was very boring. Actually, I've cut an asset editor part 2. Because I go in and make that like whole stripey area is all done in the asset editor. It's kind of the don't park your stuff here or it'll get smashed by the jet bridges and will damage the jet bridges, which are way more expensive than any car you could possibly park down there, so please don't park zone.
Is that what the sign says? Like all that whole sentence?
It's a huge sign.
Tweet?
You can see it next time you fly. Yeah. But one thing I noticed with a lot of these international terminals is they board through like 3 or 4 jet bridges. Well, 2 or 3 really. And I really wanted to replicate that just because I think like a giant A380 with 3, like a jet bridge to the upper deck and then 2 to the lower deck is just this really awesome look. So I'm going through now, and it took me a lot of tries to kind of figure out what I really wanted to build, as you can see. Because I wanted to show, like, I didn't want every gate to be the same and just have 3 jet bridges in use. So some of them have 2, some of them only have 1, some of them have 3 at the building piece, some of them only have 2 at the building piece. Just to kind of keep it as a variety.
Yeah, you want variety.
And to keep it interesting. And of course to match all these different planes. So this A340 I have happens to have the main boarding door pretty far back. So I end up having to change this. And I want to keep like the root piece connected there. And this is like the absolute outer length that it can possibly be.
Yeah.
So
at that point, you might as well just rotate the main building.
I think so. I'm sitting here, I'm stumped because I'm like, God, I don't want to have to go back, but I want it to look like this all works. And I think this is where I decide, like, just squeeze it in a little bit. I'm like, maybe they're not quite all the same. And go through and carefully kind of shape everything like that. So I figured like these 3 are my largest, these 4 are my largest international jets. And I can now step down a size and because I don't need those to fit in these largest gates that have 3 bridges. So I go through, I copy them, and then I delete the extra bridges that I don't need, shrink the whole gate area, I guess, and kind of start moving stuff in. That was a little aggressively moved in there, that my props are almost sticking out the back of the other building. But then again, it's just even more of this adjusting lengths. But I think it ends up working like really well because you have all these different lengths of the extendables, like the telescoping sections are sometimes condensed, sometimes stretched for these other planes. They're all at different angles as well, especially when I get to some of the smaller international planes. You end up with different heights, so they have to ramp down or up depending on kind of the floor they're coming out of or the area that they need, and it's a little crazy. So right here I've just cut ahead to, this is one of the Mars gates. You can see 2 little tiny airplanes.
Are they really angled that low like that in real life?
Yeah, I mean these 737s are actually so low to the ground because they were designed originally for small airports that wouldn't have baggage conveyor belts and ramps. So you're meant to be able to stand on the ground and throw bags into the hold. So
wait, is that a design decision from like the 50s or 60s, like 737s?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. because they were originally much smaller than they are now. So you like, with how huge 737s are, they're long as hell. So there are so many bags, you do not want to have to be throwing bags individually into the hold.
Yeah,
so
that
you
makes
get
sense.
Belts now. But you used to not have to bother with that and could just chuck them into the bottom of the airplane. Well, more likely chuck them into another person, or chuck them to another person that would be inside the bottom of the airplane. So now I'm going and giving this whole international terminal a bit of a haircut and getting rid of all that extra stuff because I built it all over here. So I grab gates now, and it's really handy because I'm just like 1 and 2
Yeah, this is
and
very
3
efficient.
and
Yeah.
Yep, and they're all taken care of because they're all built off-site. They're all scaled correctly. They're all nice.
And this
Plop them
took you
all
like
down.
5 minutes, right? This is like super easy.
Well,
I was joking, by the way, in case you didn't get my sarcasm.
yeah. Well, so it took a little bit of thinking to try and figure out what size gates should go where. So I had that area where obviously the biggest planes are, and then this 747, which I can't believe how small like a 747 looks compared to the A380. It's like I'm just dealing with this tiny little plane now. So we kind of lose some of the gate stuff. This is quickly going and aligning an actual plane stand to be able to use this. So all of the international airport traffic pulls up to that one single stand. And now it's kind of the mainstay sort of international fleets, this 777, and I think I misaligned them. One thing that's a little tricky with this terminal set is it's all clear glass, which is super cool, but when I'm trying to align stuff, I end up missing all the time and like clipping it too far into the glass. You just can't quite tell.
Yeah, you have to
So
do it right
through-
at the edge, right? Because otherwise it looks weird.
Otherwise, it'll put a hallway inside, and like for some reason in this game, multiple layers of glass don't look so good. When you're looking like through 2, it'll stop working or whatever. So, it's,
So were you able to just like plop the prefabs that you made without even having to tweak any? Like, because it looks like the nice thing about your setup is, you literally have like a nice, clean, smooth building, and you can just like attach the buildings to it. That is so nice. Wow. Because my building, my terminal building was ridiculous. It had like all kinds of little things going in and out. So every single thing needed to be different. But wow, this is like the way to do it. I mean, and I think the nice thing is we have our future terminals should have more like flat pieces to them. I'm not really sure exactly what buildings.
Yeah, yours is super lumpy to have to.
Yeah, I might have gotten like the worst one. So hopefully they're easier after that one, because this looks like it's definitely the way to do it, is to build them out in prefabs like this. So.
Yeah. So I'm continuing through, and this having to deal with the taxi lines to the Mars gates, I think was weird. This right here, that little 747 parked there, is eventually going to be swapped out for like a Qantas or like a fake Qantas one, just because I really like that it's there's one that's almost always parked there at SFO, and whenever I'm going to the airport, I always see it parked
as well, because they do maintenance. Because they did. Do you know that you have to like wait? Apparently, they have to wait. They can't fly it like immediately back to Sydney or whatever, so they just sit there and they do a lot of maintenance so that they can cut down costs.
Huh. That's weird. I always thought it was like a timing thing, so it's like...
well, I mean, it is a timing thing.
If we turn around and take the plane off right away, we're landing in Australia at 4:30 in the morning, and that sucks for everybody involved.
I think it's a mix between connections going all the way to New York and having... Because like there's a lot more traffic that comes to the US, but then a portion of that continues, east. So, but you don't need a full, 2 full A380s. So they just park one there. They do the maintenance, and then when the time is, all the flights going back to Sydney come back, then you just use that plane back. They built a huge hangar here in LAX just to do maintenance, and the same happens with flights to Latin America, because like they're all on the same time zone, like compared to the US, but it's so far down that you just can't. There's a whole video on Wendover Productions if you want to watch that. You should include the link in the description. But there's an explanation for that. They're not just sitting there for no reason.
Interesting.
Look cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Sorry, I don't know all the details, but there's
no problem.
There's a story.
So before you see, this is my second attempt on getting these bars to line up, because I missed with some of these gates in a pretty major way, and placed them kind of. I thought they were all lined up, but I actually had missed against the edge of the terminal, so I had to go through and kind of tweak them all and get them all perfectly lined up. So I'm trying to figure out just like how do you do these lines? And I think I also had to learn and wonder, like, please let them line up somewhere, somehow. Please let there be a kind that lines up. But we'll see. So end up going through, and I'm trying really hard to make like a line that I can then go and copy paste. So with a lot of these flat edges, yeah, you're seeing it again. I'm looking real close at the edges. I'm like, damn it, they're all slightly different.
Just off.
So yeah. I end up using for a lot of these the service road as kind of a marker, but I'm trying really hard to squeeze it because it's really slightly difficult to see kind of how long the building goes when it's clipped into the glass, but also how it's very weird. And having placed them all from vertically where there's a huge overhang, there were like 6 to 7 like huge gaps, like 10-foot gaps between the terminal and the jet area, like that little spoke sort of piece at the beginning. Like, that's not great. Anyway, we're back on line duty, and this actually got really fun. I usually hate doing lines, but getting to do some of them for like each gate needs an approach from each or from almost from each direction and each kind of taxiway coming in. So this this gate that I'm doing now that got all these custom ones, this is actually a lot of fun because I'm trying to figure out how can I get them.
No, I was going to say, we talked about this in the previous episode. It's so satisfying once you put them down. That's why it's fun. Because like you add, it's like it looks odd first, but then you lower it down. And it's like, yeah, perfect,
it
done.
Just fits perfectly in. Yeah.
But trying to get these all, like, in particular, coming up with the shapes, I'm like, that's the smoothest taxi route from this place. Like from this angle. Trying to use, you can see my lines are a little more faceted than some of the other ones here in the rest of the airport, because I'm trying to, this is kind of when we realized, like, props might be a problem. And I think this is probably maybe an hour after I got that message, just like, hey, real quick, I was loading up to record cinematics and we've used 55,000 props. So I'm like, here, let's try it this way. You'll be able to tell I totally forget about it later. And as we were just talking before I started recording, placed like 20 decals to make what like 2 decals could do. But we'll see. So even this one has like that second like different S-curve from coming in from the taxiway, or straight lines, or all sorts of weird stuff, just to try and make these huge planes like not have to maneuver so hard.
Now that I'm looking at what you're doing, it would have. I feel like it would have made more sense to just do my lines from scratch instead of like selecting manually, so that, because I'm sure you're trying to like lower them down without doing that to mine because they're already lowered. And
yeah, I was not brilliant.
I mean, it feels like you did it after that.
Yeah. So I thought that one, I'm like, let's do something a little different and not do the crossing ones, and it ended up looking stupid. In more research, I think you can back me up on this, Flex. It's like almost random what airports do what. It's just such different techniques, and everybody does it a little differently. Everybody does it like terminal by terminal. I was looking at one in SFO, and literally it's just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
They're just
like some of them have like the dotted line, some of them have like double solid, some of them just have only one, and that's usually if it's a one way, but I don't know. It's really
what I would say is SFO, they have a taxiway and then they have the stop bar, and good luck getting between them.
Yeah.
Like, you're on your own, pilots.
Yeah.
Like, have fun. And I guess they just have well-trained like ground controller, the people with those glowing sticks that drive people to the right spot. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the designers at SFO were very concerned about the prop count. So
yeah, they couldn't afford to use props on the,
for everyone watching this, we try to like research this as much as we can, but sometimes we can't even.
Try to figure out why. So I was trying to figure out very quickly with ploppable asphalt. I'm like, all right, I don't want to just hardcore rip off what you were doing with the concrete docks, but it ends up being the best option here.
It is absolutely,
but I do go, and later, because I was playing with the ploppable asphalt, and I know that decals, or the ploppable asphalt decals work on these, which I thought was very interesting. So I'm placing them all. I end up having to do a whole bunch of tweaking with these lines. I think you were talking in your last episode about the same thing.
Yeah.
Trying to cover up all these Mars gates and stuff, trying to make it all work. But what I end up doing soon is I'm gonna grab the ploppable asphalt decals, which I'm gonna use to make this kind of really regular, really shiny concrete look more worn and patched. Because that's why I was looking at a lot of these airports. Like, the actual quality of the concrete is, I'm sure, flat and perfectly safe for carrying thousands of tons of airplane.
They are
every day.
definitely not flat. Have you ever seen like runways with a zoom lens?
With the long
they
lens.
are very not flat.
Yeah, but God, aren't you glad we're building on a reasonably flat spot here in
Yes.
cities?
It should have been even more
reasonably,
flat.
I mean, yeah, it could have been
Should
more
have been,
flat, as Strict
yeah.
Hilcher knows, but
I'm sure we're gonna learn the same thing when we decide to dare to take on the some runway stuff.
oh yeah, or refactoring maybe.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
to redo
It's
a
like-
lot of that.
Not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting it done. Not looking forward to having to do that. Being like, here's what I need to do today. Not have any fun.
Ain't that
but-
every day?
Trying to use these smoother curves. I end up changing some of them back to straight lines later, but just to save on some of the joints where you'd
Right.
have to place individual props. I have like a weird focus on where I save props now.
Yeah,
I also
really.
have
I
this
was
weird thing where move it stuff. You just saw like I was doing a move it thing and I right clicked and it just teleported across the map to try.
Yeah.
And I've never had that glitch before, and I just decided to try and just live with it, and then ended up just abandoning that attempt right then. And I think I'll fix it later. But I'm having such a good time drawing out these service roads. They look so cool.
Yeah.
And just
they
trying
really
to figure,
do.
just because they're like exactly right with like the dimensions and the way it's all shaped, and it looks so much better than any other road we could have tried. That technique with the little cutoff road is ripped from Strict Toaster's SimCity days.
Wait, what? The cutoff road? What do you mean?
To make the smoother curves. You just draw them two
Oh.
intersecting and pull off a few segments back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember that.
This is a fun build. So I'm going through, and this is actually kind of a pain in the ass. Trying to get these to prop 3 matching. I'm going through just like, all right, fine. And then I go and I put them like, just 2. And then I try to place these here and it covers up the service road too much. So I swap to, this is like a protect spot for smaller airplanes. And I think, oh wow, I ended up getting lucky with white ones.
Yeah,
But
like
it
that.
ended up, and there we go.
And it's
Damn
done.
it. Gotta change it out. And I'm really hoping to get, and finally. But so I throw 3 of these planes just kind of out in the tarmac here. They're slightly small for the international area, but it's kind of all that section of ramp could fit. So I'm not super like upset about it.
But by the way,
Yes.
sorry, maybe not everyone knows, but those plane stands, when you click them, they cycle through different colors. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm like delicately copying a white one, and I'm like, and we're good, and click, and it's yellow. So anyway, here you can now see I'm going through with these Plum Asphalt Decals to show where. Yeah, it is. I'm sitting here, I'm living out my Minecraft and Tetris fantasies again. But I just built like a 3x3 grid with some of them working, and I'm going through and just rotating them all around, selecting different chunks, different
is really
shapes
clever,
to try
actually.
and
Yeah,
make it
really
work.
clever.
Because I can grab kind of whatever shape I want out of these, and just using move it and page up, page down, I end up with probably dozens of different colors and different shades. Unfortunately, they disappear on a far zoom, but it works
Yeah,
pretty
that's
well.
okay. Wow, I didn't even seen those before. Are they like what? I'm confused on what they even are. They're decals of
Ploppable
asphalt?
asphalt decals.
Huh.
It's a decal version.
It's a
so
decal.
they'll-
Yeah, there's also
they'll-
decals for like the pavement and the grass and pretty much every like base theme material. There's decals for those as
Huh.
well. Yeah, pretty
I
And
didn't know
here's the part where I totally lose
God.
the plot.
Like, look at
decal
this.
lines.
Come on.
Oh,
You're like, yeah, I'm smoothing the curves, trying to save on
Wait,
the
he's not done.
props,
He's
you
not
know.
done. He's adding more.
No,
He's
I'm not done.
He's not even close. Look, I totally found this in the next episode. I was trying to like tweak some stuff, and I was like, what is this? There was like 30 of them for every single bankment.
So I go and I completely distract myself from finding other decals and things. But I'm looking at in real life.
There we
yeah,
go.
I think I decided like this was too many, and then put them all back. But I was looking at particularly SFO at some of these gates where they make these giant 747s with the kind of very wide set of wheels at the back, where they make those drive and pull in. And I guess all of these airplanes just kind of Tokyo drift the back of the plane into the gate, particularly the ones coming from Tokyo, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Of course, they're
but-
trained for that.
You end up with all these like big, huge, dirty skid marks coming in. So I felt like I gotta.
I mean, they look
somehow.
great. I wish we could use 20,000 decals for each one of these things, but yeah. Props, man.
I think I'll pull some of those out. Honestly, they're very copy pasted, so I may attempt to buildingify them.
You could do that,
Just because with that, I think it's a fairly standard shape. This is also another theme decal I found. It's just like slightly dirty concrete. And in particular, it has edges and corners that I'm like, I love it. This is so good to put kind of where planes would be and using different heights, different stains and things, just to try to shake up the look of the concrete a little bit. I found one stain decal that's like striped in one way. I'm like, let's put that behind the engines. That'd be cool. Because even when they're I don't know, kind of just trying to filth in the whole area a little bit.
No, it certainly actually needs to be filth in.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit even today before we started recording, but I think one of the biggest challenges later on, once we've kind of, finished off the terminals and stuff, is going to be like making all of the concrete, because this whole build is like so much concrete, and you know, in real life you look at that concrete and it's all varying in texture and all that stuff, and there's got to be a way that we could do this where we can make ours look nice and not too I guess repetitive, but without using too many decals. That's where the challenge kind of comes in, because we just have like so much flat concrete we're gonna have to somehow shake up.
Expansion joints are gonna be definitely an interesting
probably pretty important.
So it's now time for my turn doing all these baggage carts and things, which you just saw me do, by the way. I was looking around, and I guess maybe some airports do this with underground fuel tanks rather than driving fuel trucks up to some of these huge planes. Because I imagine it would be inconvenient if you have to drain like 4 fuel trucks. So I guess I assumed they have underground tanks, but they have these manholes surrounded by red paint. I'm like, that's a detail I can remake, and I did that.
Actually, wait, that thing, I remember very clearly on episode 2 of Sino, sorry, I'm plugging my old series, which, you did, when was this? You did, I mentioned that you did a thing. Yeah, and I copied that for the power station.
I'm all about underground gas tanks.
Yes.
So in here, I was pretty sure that I was going to keep some of these airplanes, or at least planes the size of these. So I'm starting to move conveyors into places that would hook up to baggage doors, like they're almost in use, like these planes are all being serviced. So right there, I kind of align it. And even though the doors are closed on the models, that plane gets a fuel truck, pallet loaders, whatever. Just like try to come up with some sort of like near the plane.
They're about to open it, don't worry.
They're just about to open it on every single
one. They're about to open it.
It's this cool event every day at this very specific time. Actually, I record just because it's easy to remember. I try to keep my game clock, as close to 4:20 in the afternoon as possible.
Oh, I see that.
Do you know that? Yeah.
Wow.
14:01. There we go. 16:43. That's 4:45, but whatever. So now I was going through. I'm like, wait a minute. This would be horrible after doing all these ramp things right next to the freeway with the jet blast. You just see people like launching their rental cars off the overpasses. So I'm going through now and doing some classic prop line tool of jet blast deflectors, which I finally getting something like that classic aviation red and white checker was so satisfying.
That
to put in
a
this
lot
airport.
of detail.
I'm like, oh yes, please, red and white checks at the side of it. Like, I'm amazed we hadn't done this. So these are actually really funny. In my other monitor, I have I've got like SFO open, and these are actual recreations of how Google Maps captured a bunch of airport equipment parked around the sides of terminals. I'm like, I'm done creatively. I'm literally just gonna remake exactly what I see on Google.
Can I say something? When I got this saved, and I saw this save game, and I saw all your props like laying around like on the outskirts of that, it looks like a plane crash actually. And it reminded me a lot. There was this ride on Universal Studios here in LA that had War of the Worlds crash scene. It looks exactly like that.
With all the baggage.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember seeing that without having seen War of the Worlds. Just be like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know, because they have a full plane in there. like
Yeah,
destroyed.
it's an old Japanese 747 that's like cut up and
Oh my god!
they
Like
keep
the full
it.
size?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, with
scale?
the seats and everything. Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
like smashed through a neighborhood too. So there are like 3 or 4 houses, one of which has like a huge jet engine that they keep like on fire. I'm sure only when the tram
it's
drives
spinning
by.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
but it's.
I don't know if they
it's
still
super
have it.
cool.
I haven't been there in a while.
I don't know. They probably do. I feel like getting rid of a pre-crashed 747 would be big news.
Yeah, you have to also move all those decals away.
Yeah.
It took a moment.
All
Man.
right.
It was
Took a
like
second,
way
like, hang
too yeah. Forget
So
about
see
that.
here, trying to figure out. I end up using Flux's decal-based one rather than the building one because it conforms to terrain right in there. And wow, actually we're at the end of the episode already. As we record this, it cuts to bars and tone, so it's like a hostile cut. But anyway, I hope you guys are not enjoying bars and tone right now because that would mean I screwed up. And I hope you're enjoying some nice cinematics of this completed international terminal. Next week's episode, of course, on Strict Toaster's channel. Link, as always, I'm sure in the description. After that, we got Flux again, and then me again. So you should subscribe to all of us, actually.
That'd be the easiest thing to do. Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way. And anyway, that's about it. So thank you guys all very much for watching. I will see you 3 times from now, not next time. That's for Strict to do.
Okay.
Well, he'll still see you, but you know.
Yeah.
That's true. I'll be on there. I won't be leading. I'm talking the whole time this time.
Also, I wonder
I
how
won't
long
be
your
next time.
cinematics card, because like,
Yeah,
would it fit
we're
all
making
this
them really-
commentary?
No, we're making sure that he has to do a ton of recording.
Perfect. I love it.